Alrighty, so not tying anything too crazy tonight. Just some perdigons, really, or kind of like perdigons, I guess. These are going to be kind of a twist up of somewhat of a rainbow warrior. We've got the hook already in the vise here. Bowling mill, size 18 jig force short, 3.2 millimeter bead. And let's see, where did I put that box of flies? Here we go. So I've kind of been working on this box for a minute now, and I don't know why, but the OCD in me really wants to fill it. So yeah, I got a long way to go. It's like 14 dozen slots, so like 100 and I don't know 164 flies or something like that, I think, if my math is correct. But this is what we're tying up tonight. It's got some flashy body underneath there. I don't know if you can really see that. Red collar and then like kind of a rainbow dubbing and CDC wing, or collar, whatever you want to call that. So I got, let's see, 3 more of those to tie tonight, and then I'm gonna switch to a different pattern, something different. I don't know. I have black beads, same size bead on the same size hook, but black beads. So I'll probably change up my thread color and do something different then. Yeah, hopefully some people hop on and join the live. Totally. I try to do this every Tuesday night. I'm pretty bad about it, to be honest, but we missed last Tuesday for good reason, or this Tuesday, sorry, yesterday, for good reason. We went down to Denver and Morgan caught her first carp on the fly, proper carp. She caught a baby like 2 years ago and then hooked like a big mirror carp and lost. The hook popped out right at the net, lost that one. So yeah, yesterday we went down to Denver with a mission to get her on a carp, and she finally got one. So that's why I didn't do live last night. We didn't get back until I think it was like 8:30, and walked the dogs, and that was about it for the night. Anyway, so I got my thread on here. Just put a little thread on behind the bead. I'm using this. This is just a cheap paintbrush for the tail. You can see I've been hacking away at it for a while now. I've probably tied a couple hundred flies with this, and there's still plenty, few hundred more to be tied with it. So I just use this for the tail. You could use like Coq de Leon fibers or pheasant tail fibers if you want. I think that's what Rainbow Warriors actually typically call for in the recipe. So yeah, we just got a little tail on there. I think you can see that all right, maybe. Now I'm coming in with this Flashaboo. This is pearl, I believe. Flashaboo, and it is, I think, the small size, if that's how they size their Flashaboo, but I've seen really wide Flashaboo, and this is pretty small. So just to keep the tail end of this thin, I'm just going to start this back here and then follow it back up. And I can add a little more thickness behind the bead to build just a natural taper to this fly. I'll stop right about there. And now ooh, did I leave enough room? Yes. All right. So I'm going to take this Flashaboo and just palmer it around. I'm just keeping tension on this Flashabou while I trap it here, capture it with my thread. And try and cut this off as close as I can, but all my scissors are dull. Okay. Now I'm going to come in here a little early with some UV resin. This is just some flow clear finish. And I'm just going to coat this little Flashabou bit that I just did. Just hit this with the light real quick. All right. What is this? I apologize about the weird music, but I can't tie without music, and I got like copyright strikes the last couple times I went live for listening to stuff that I shouldn't have gotten copyright strikes for. It was supposed to be in the public domain, but whatever. So we're listening to this. When I listen to this, it's like a streaming channel, free streaming channel on Spotify. And when I listen to this one, I don't ever get flags. So all right. So I'm just trying to flatten out this thread right now, and then I'm going to split it and put a CDC feather in there. So I can just use my scissors and try not to actually bust the thread. Yeah. I usually have bodkin to do this, but I don't right now. So scissors it is. All right. So I've got my thread split in half. That's going to kind of create a dubbing loop. But I'm going to just put in this CDC fiber. Right in my loop. If it'll go. There we go. Now I'm going to come in with my scissors. Maybe. That should be plenty. So I've got my CDC fibers trapped in there. I'm going to spin this thread. Let's see, what would that be? Counterclockwise. And this is just kind of rebinding that, or recording all those smaller strands of thread and really pinching the CDC fibers in there. I'm just going to kind of tease these forward as I wrap around. I want them all facing back. That looks pretty good. And the last thing, I put it away, sorry. This is just some like rainbow dubbing. I'm going to put a really, really small noodle of dubbing on here. And just finish it off. A few wraps with the dubbing. I might have got a little too much on there, so I'm going to pull some off. And then a few more wraps. I want that red collar to show through, and it should with this whip finish. We should see it a little better. And then I'm going to brush out the fly. And it's done. We'll throw 2 in here for good measure. Jeez, these scissors are so dull. There we go. All right. Last thing I'm going to do, and this is kind of hard because I don't want to get any on the CDC fibers, but I'm just going to sneak a little bit of resin right in that open hole of the bead and hit it with the light really quick. That's also going to hook into the threads and kind of just lock those in so they're not going to come unraveled on me. I did 2 whip finishes plus the UV resin. This thing should hold up for a little while, a couple trouts at least. And then I'm going to hit it with the brush real quick. And this is just going to tease out some more of that rainbow dubbing and let it kind of go down and follow those CDC fibers down the body there. And I'll use my thumbnails to kind of bust out anything that's too long. Whether that be the CDC fibers or the dubbing. But that looks pretty good, I think. So it's like a CDC Rainbow Warrior. I don't know. I'm going to see real quick if I can get some better color going. Get it more true to form. I don't know. It looks like it's sunny. Sorry, bear with me. It's just going to be 1 second. Whoa, way too green. That's pretty good. All right, we're going to stick with that. Back to tying. Okay, so that one's done. Gets to go in the box. There we go. So we're going to get a couple more of those. And then we'll switch it up and do something different. Same, but different. I like to put a little dab of super glue right here on the bead, or right where the bead goes on the hook. Just because there's, believe it or not, a right and a wrong way for this bead to sit. I don't want it to crowd my hook gap there, so I want it to ride the right way up. So I put a little dab of super glue, orient it the way I want it, and just hold it in place for a second while that super glue dries. That should be good. And once I get my thread built up behind there, that should hold it in place and keep it from spinning. Oh, my glue already broke and it's spinning. That's what I get for talking too soon. It's not the most important thing in the world. You can always kind of spin it at the end when you're shoving more material behind. I like having it where it's going to be in the beginning. So super glue seems to do that most of the time. Sometimes if you're really wrenching on it or tying fast, you can like catch the slot with your thread and pop it off there. So anyways, it's not really that important, but I like it that way. We're going to keep doing it that way. Oh. I feel like I have dubbing stuck to my fingers from the last one. All or it's just this thread. All right, that bead does not want to stay where I put it, so we're just gonna tie it into place later on. So back to the paintbrush tail here. Cheapest tail on the market. I got like twice as much as I need, so ditch about half of those. Trim it to size. And I'm just gonna come in here. Sorry. I'm just laying it right on top of the hook shank. I might want it a little longer than that, actually. There we go. That should be good. I don't know what this freaking mystery string is here. It's got to be from my thread because it's so dang strong. This is Simperfly Nano Silk, and it's made up of like tons of super strong little silk strands, and when you sometimes one will bust or something and or catch that hook point and you'll break one and then it coils back, and for me it just bugs the crap out of me. I think I'm just gonna burn it. I don't recommend this. You could just ruin your whole fly this way, but that worked. All right, back to it. So just holding this tail in place on top of the shank as I go down the hook, and I'm just kind of working to the flat point ends, and it starts to bend, curve. And every once in a while I spin this bobbin counterclockwise, no, counterclockwise, and that just flattens it out. Helps keep a nice smooth taper, nice smooth profile. And we're coming back in with our pearl flashaboo. And every once in a while, since this bead spun on me, I'm just gonna put it in place and make sure it's where I want it and that it hasn't spun or done weird things. So now I can add a little taper to this, spinning that thread to keep it flat. And I will stop right there. And you notice it kind of tapers up one way and then it slants back down behind the bead. I am doing that on purpose because I'm leaving a little gap for the CDC and the dubbing to go without really crowding that bead and building up too much of a thread dam behind the hook. So what the heck did I just do? There we go. All right, so again, we're just gonna palmer this flashaboo up and be careful of that hook point as you spin it. And I will stop all the way behind the bead. Get my thread back out. Sorry if I sound like Kermit the Frog tonight. Got freaking allergies going. Springtime, you know? All right, so I've got that trapped there. I need to get some new scissors because every single pair I have is dull. Okay. So you could just honestly throw some resin on that and fish it the way it is. And it would crush, I'm sure. That would be like a rainbow perdigon, I guess you could call it. But we are going to now, well, I am going to add resin right now. But then there's some more steps. You could add resin and just stop, but I'm going to do 2 more steps. Where's my light? There's my light. So a little bit of UV resin on there. A little bit of a cure. And now the fun part again, we're going to try and flatten this thread out. And get some CDC going. Oh, that went way quicker than last time. Cool. And I have the other side of this same CDC feather that I used last time. So we'll slide that in there. Try and pull it to length. Pretty good. I'm getting pretty decent at this. Now we cord this back up. And again, try and tease them back towards the tail as you wrap around. And then just go ahead and break out. There's a couple long guys that got in there, so we'll just break those out. Now, last step, little rainbow dub. I don't know what it's actually called. Sorry, there's no label on the package, but it's like a rainbow dubbing. I don't know. That's what it is. Just a little bit, and then we'll put our red collar back behind the bead. The bead actually turns out stayed in place, so we're in good shape. 2, 5 turns and another 1, 2, 3. Call that good. Thread's gone, and just sneak that 1 dot. Come on, buddy. Oh. That ended up being way too much, but it was like none, and then all of a sudden a bunch gushed out. Anyways, I think it'll still get eaten. So, like I said, you could have just stopped and not added this CDC in the dubbing, but this is just going to add more undulation and movement in the water and maybe look like a bug that's growing some legs and some wings. So yeah, Rainbow Warrior CDC jig. Pretty fun to tie, pretty fun to fish. It's not one that I regularly like pick out of this box, you'll see here. So I'm going to show you every time. So typically the first thing I would grab out of this box is something more simple and a little more streamlined. I like these Spanish bullets a lot, the black and red. Waltz worm is always a great one. Yeah, so there's some easier stuff out there. This, the flashier Rainbow Warrior styles, I would throw those if it's like picky fish or it's like muddy water. Yeah, and you need something that just has that extra little bit of flash. But all these things crush. Any one of these flies I have confidence in, hence why I'm filling this box with them. So let's see, one more Rainbow Warrior, and then we'll move on to something new, fun new pattern. Whoopi Goldberg. Whatever happened to her? Whoopi Goldberg. I saw Rosie freaking moved out of the country. I forget where she moved. Scotland or Ireland. One of the two. I don't know why Whoopi Goldberg led to Rosie O'Donnell, but it did. That's where my brain goes sometimes. And I'm actually blaming it on you guys because it says 4 of you watching right now and no one's commenting or saying anything. So I just have to talk to myself here. Oh man, the super glue hack that I was trying to show you guys just isn't working for me tonight. It was before I started recording, but then I had to go and jinx it by talking about it. I'm gonna let the super glue set up a little longer on this one. Hopefully it holds. All right. That wasn't much longer, but I'm pretty impatient when it comes to this. And you guys aren't here just to watch glue dry, right? Ooh. I want to adjust this in the vise a little bit because it's not quite flat. There we go. Surprisingly, the bead held in place through that. What? All right, more tail material. I think I got like some glue or some sort of schmutz on this tail because some of these fibers are like clumping together, which isn't normal. Usually you can get a nice splayed out tail, so I'm having to work through it a little longer than I normally would to find bits that won't clump together, but still, like, I think I paid a couple dollars for a whole pack of paintbrushes, and this is just one out of the pack, and I've gotten, I mean, you can see that. Maybe you can see that. There's not much missing from it. And I've had so many flies. So many flies. And you could buy, like I said, Coke de Leon is like a fiber that's really cool. It's pretty translucent and makes an amazing tail. Man, I keep making these things super short tonight. I'm backing this off and making it longer. But yeah, Coke de Leon makes a really cool tail. But it's expensive. It's like, I don't know, $7 or something for maybe 4 feathers. Whereas I got this whole pack of paintbrushes for that price, and I haven't even gone through one paintbrush. I would have probably gone through 3 packs of Coke de Leon by now with how many of these I've tied out of a third of a paintbrush. So just know there are other options out there. Let's see. I think I have enough. I think I got enough still there. Why does that keep happening? What is going on with my tying tonight? Okay. Back to this. We are going to palmer this around. Watch out for the hook point. And I want them to be pretty much touching turns on that. But if they're not, it's not the end of the world if some of that red thread shows through, because I feel like the flash kind of overrides, and I actually want some of the redness to show through. Sorry, I'm blocking the fly right now completely with my finger. I was just trying to hold that in place. If you don't, sometimes that Flashaboo will slide back down the hook shank there, and that's never fun. So yeah, I don't really remember what I was saying before that. Anyways, oh yeah, if thread's showing through, if I don't get touching turns there, it's okay because this is somewhat translucent material anyways, and it does show through that red, so it's all good there. This bead wants to slide around on me now, of course. Let's see if I can trap it before moving on to the next step. Nope. You punk. It just wants to do its own thing, this bead. There we go. Seems like it's going to stay in place now. All right, so fun part, flattening out thread. And maybe it would help if I opened up these scissors. 1 point is better than 2. I also didn't really get it that flat. You guys got me nervous. Everyone's watching and no one's talking. I'm nervous. All right, CDC in the hole we just opened up there. Oh my gosh. It wants to run away. I don't blame it. This one's going to be a little light on the CDC, but honestly, that's okay. I still think it looks pretty friggin' good. Oh, I'm spinning that the wrong way. Oh. Oh, that one even looks better with a little less there, I would say. And we still got to come in with the mystery rainbow dubbing. Just a very little bit there. Oh. Perfecto. Build a little collar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Is it superstition? What do you guys do? Does anyone watching tie flies? How many whip finish turns do you do? Do you do any? Do you just use super glue? Let me know in the comments. Do you even tie flies? Do you want to learn how to tie flies? Just talk to me, goddammit. All right, now I just brush out a little bit of that dubbing and CDC combo. It's looking freaking fabulous. I don't know why I just trimmed that. Now it's going to look stupid. No, the fish won't eat it. No, I think it still looks pretty cool. Pretty cool, I guess. Try and get a little less this time. There we go. Less is more when it comes to this step. It's probably good. Cool. It's probably my favorite one. That was the last one. All right. In the box it goes. This has been a training exercise for me, this box. I typically am not one to sit down and tie the same pattern over and over and over. But I really want to fill this box, and I don't want it to just be like a, I don't know, hodgepodge, mix and match flies. I want there to be some sort of uniformity to it. So yeah, it's a good training exercise in trying to get the same like thread turns and the same kind of thickness of bodies, and yeah, just being consistent in my tying. So with that being said, we are going to experiment now because I don't know. I've tied so many. This is, let's see, 68. We're on 68 flies. I think there's 164 slots in there, so got a long way to go still. And I'm already running out of inspiration on these Perdigon style flies, but I will probably start tying some stone flies next, like some micro stone fly jigs, because I will want to fish those here coming up shortly. As soon as the runoff kind of starts to kick into gear, which I don't know, today it was like 70 degrees here, so I think that could be any day now, which would be sweet. So yeah, well, with that being said, we're gonna create something new today, right now. Not new, probably to anyone, I guess, other than me. I guess what I mean by that is it's hard to have original patterns these days. So this is really just going to be a Perdigon style fly, but with I'm just gonna kind of freestyle and grab some random materials as I go. I have something in mind. If the first one doesn't come out the way I think it will, then I'll just cut it off with the razor blade and try again until I find something I like, because I'm not putting anything in this box that I won't fish. So what's the point? It's just dead weight carrying flies that you don't want to fish. I guess the hard part is going to be that I want to fish every one of those flies, so it's going to be hard to decide which one to tie on first. Paintbrush tails coming back into action for sure on this one. I'm going black thread, black tail here. And again, I'm just going to kind of go down to the hook bend, the end of the shank here. Stop my thread there. And here I'm going to come in with, oh, I already pulled them out. Holy cow. I've got one gold and one blue strand here of this crystal flash. And like I said, this is kind of experimental on my end. Maybe someone else has done it. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But like a lot of things in fly tying these days, it's hard to be original because so many people are doing it. And this is actually going to be an attempt. So Charlie Craven has a fly called the Juju B, Juju Batis, Juju B Midge. Both of them use this. Man, I don't even know what it's called. Hopefully, it's on the package. Supreme hair. They use this Supreme hair, which is like a synthetic hair. It's actually like a plastic fiber or something like that. And he uses, I think, 3 of those, 2 of one color and 1 of another color. And then he ties them in and spirals them up the shank of the hook like I'm going to do here with this flash, this crystal flash. So taking something that another tire does with one material on one fly and applying it to another fly is always a possibility and a fun thing to do. I oftentimes look at, saltwater flies for inspiration for my bonefish flies, or for my carp flies. Sorry, I'll look at bonefish flies for inspiration for my carp flies, and vice versa. All right, so I'm just gonna throw a little half hitch. This freaking crystal flash is being so crazy right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna clip it. We got this clip. I'm gonna clip it in place. There we go. So don't make fun of me for using my whip finish tool for a half hitch. I've been struggling with them lately. Oh man. Let's get you guys back in focus here. Okay. Now I've got my blue and gold. We'll see how this looks. I'm just gonna kind of wrap these together. That guy's wanting to run away. That's all right. We'll just keep it rolling. See what happens. Well, I don't think it's going to show through very well for you guys on your end, but I think this came out pretty cool. So it's got kind of a blue and gold iridescence to it. You definitely cannot see that. At least on my computer, it doesn't look like it. Let me see. Turn the brightness up. Yeah, mainly just looks gold, but you're going to have to take my word for it. It looks pretty cool. Now, let's see. I think I kind of had a plan in my head for what I wanted to do with this fly. And I might have already forgot it. But I'm going to get the black thread off. And I'm going to come in with this kind of copper thread. Create like a hot spot collar. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Halfway decent. I would totally fish it, so it's going in the box. Gosh. This one, I'm not going to do 2 whip finishes. I'll just stick to the one because I'm going to cover this whole thing because I'm going to cover this whole thing with resin. That's why. So I'm only doing one with finish. Sorry, I got distracted by the flame there mid-sentence. Okay, you know what? I like this, but as soon as I got that copper thread wet with the resin, it completely, like, it doled out. It's still pretty. It's still there. But what I'm going to do for the next one, I'm not saying it's not orange enough and it has to go to the trash bin, but it's not orange enough. So I'm going to change my thread. This one doesn't have to go in the trash bin. And by trash bin, I mean a drawer. I have a drawer that I store all my flies that I'm not going to fish. And someday I might either decide I do want to fish them or pull them out and pull the materials off them and use the bead or hook or whatever valuable material is on them that I can reuse or salvage. So I just put a little bit of black UV resin in the eye of the bead there, or the hole of the bead there, the slot. I'm just trying to fill it in and kind of create a wing casing. They call these humps usually. I don't know. It's just a black hump on the back of the Perdigon, but I think it just helps the profile look a little more natural. Hit that with the light. Man, still no one talking tonight. I'm just gonna talk to myself. So that's what I'm doing anyways. Do. Man. Yeah, that thing's cool. I'd totally fish that. Nice. But like I said, I want the next one to be more orange on the collar, so that's what I'm going to change up really quick. So instead of this copper orange, we're going like this fluorescent. The copper just has soaked up that resin and just saturated and lost all its color. Got boring, got bland. Will it still catch fish? Yes. Do I love it? No. Okay. Boom. Steps. Hit it with a little super glue. Again, this is just to hold this bead the way I want it. I'm going to hold it a little longer. Sorry, you got to stare at my nasty fingernails. These are my fishing fingernails. After fishing all week and playing outside, and then I'll clean up. I'll shave. I'm also pretty grown out here, you can tell. Tomorrow I got to go back to the bartending gig, so I'll have to, get the dirt out from under my fingernails, give them a little trim, shave the nasty mustache. I'm sure my wife will be happy about that. All right, the beads just aren't wanting to stay. I think it's just because they're so freaking heavy. So what you can do instead of the super glue, I'm just holding it in place and sneaking my thread in between my fingers and the bead and building up a little thread dam behind the bead. I guess that's the end of the stream tonight. That's all right. Y'all were boring anyways. No one wanted to talk to me. Camera overheated. We out.